Have you ever wondered why some voices get heard while others get lost in the noise? It's not luck, it's actually strategy. And today we're talking with Drew Boyer, author of Hip Hop Finance and a financial planner who didn't just show up, they made people pay attention. Now we're going to break down the moments that changed everything for Drew, the strategies that worked and the ones that probably didn't work as well as he was hoping. If you're done blending in and ready to stand out, this podcast is for you, but make sure that you hit that like and subscribe button. Share it if you like it and never miss a new episode. I'm Matt Haller and I've spent years helping experts build authority and grow influence. If you're ready to stand out, this podcast is your blueprint, real strategies to make your voice rise above the noise. Drew, welcome to the show.
Matt, thank you so much for having me today. It's an honor to be here.
Man, I remember meeting you a number of years ago at a conference, and we were just talking, getting to know each other, and you told me that you were about to write a book. Now, I don't want to spend the whole time talking about the book, but my opening question for you is just, why did you feel the need to do that?
Well, let's tell people the conference. It was at Future Proof. My first ever time there. I think it was 2023. It changed my life. I had been a financial planner for over 20 years at that point. Before I had to grow up and get a real job, though, I was a drummer. And I had kind of thought that this music and money thing never meshed together at all inside my office here. And when I was out at Future Proof, I met all these creatives that I didn't know existed in the financial space, including you, Matt. And I left there lit up like a Christmas tree of ideas. And I said to myself, I felt like I was being called to write or make some videos or do something where I can bridge music, my first love, with money and money education, financial education second. I left there, I went home, I started getting ideas about what to write and why not just write a book. You just started reading 4 years ago. Why not write a book now? And instead of taking years to do this, why don't you try to do this in less than a year? So I came up with an idea of my love of hip hop, and I combined that together with money education, financial education. Unfortunately, hip hop is littered with not great stories of lots of money quick, lots of money gone quick. But there's a few stories in there where they're able to use their information, make money for themselves, and grow their brand. And so I went off on that one, went and wrote the book all about chapter by chapter, using a hip hop artist, telling their story, the money behind the music. So like 50 Cent, when In the Club was out, what was going on in the background? He had gone from renting a $1,400 a month apartment to buying Mike Tyson's mansion. So that's the story. It goes from getting out of debt all the way to learning how to do compound interest.
So you grew up a musician, right? And so why did hip hop really, because I know you and I both share, and in fact, that's actually where all of it started, is we were both talking about music, and we both found out very quickly that we're huge hip hop heads. Why did you focus there and not make it more general?
Why I chose hip hop first is because that's the first music that got me in trouble with my parents. The story in the book is I had gone and bought Sir Mix-a-Lot, Baby Got Back. And there's a story where my mom would let me and my brothers run into the mall back in the day. Sam Goody, I think is what we had. Ran in there, and the good stuff had the parental advisory sticker on it, right? And went up there, grabbed it. My mom's like, "What'd you get?" I'm like, you won't like it. You won't like it, Mom." She's like, "Put it in." I'm like, "Okay." And then inevitably it's like, "Oh my God, Becky, look at her butt." And my mom's face goes nuclear, red, pops it out. I get home. I grew up in a very Christian conservative background out in the country, and they destroyed it with a sledgehammer. And then I went back and bought it the next week. So thank you, Sir Mix-a-Lot. I gave you 2 sales.
Yeah. For me, that was it was punk rock actually is when it first started. For the music that I found out that my parents hated the most. And then it very quickly went to NWA, which drove my parents utterly insane. Okay. So how has the book, I have a better question. What has the book done for Drew, both personally and professionally?
It's been a launch pad. You kind of start out on these things, and it's fun and exciting at the beginning. I was doing it on the weekends, and then you churn it out, and then you're putting your baby into the world. It did take me 9+ months to do it. And from this, anytime you're doing something creative and throwing it out there, you're wondering how it's going to be received. And from putting it out there in the last year this year, I've been able to get a seat at some tables that I didn't think I'd ever have. Got nominated for stuff, won some other things. And the highlight was being able to go back to Future Proof and then contribute. And so I was able to go back up on stage this year, and it wouldn't have been possible without the book and putting myself out there and writing and telling stories. That's what it's done for me. And I'm so excited about the future from here with music and money and teaching.
Well, so let's talk a little bit about that pivot, right? So you're known as the hip hop finance guy, and sometimes that notoriety can really truly be a double-edged sword. I'm known as the podcasting guy. I've done a lot of other stuff, but I'm known as the podcasting guy, right? How are you planning on taking this hip hop finance and this book and this notoriety that you've gotten and really use it as a launch pad?
So I got to remind everybody I'm a drummer first, and pop music, any kind of music, and hip hop is all in 4/4. Anybody that knows music, it's 4 beats. It's easily digestible. I love hip hop, but I listen to all kinds of music. I always have. I chose hip hop because it's littered with these easy stories that you hear a celebrity making a bad decision or a good decision. It's really in your face and able to use it. So now I want to widen the funnel out to all music. And so whether that's Taylor Swift almost becoming the richest musician in the world right now, she's at 2.1 billion, up from 1.6 last year. Jay-Z's got to run for his money. She's coming up for that, to how Johnny Cash learned how to walk the line. Or if I want to tell a story about family businesses, I'm going to use an artist where there's a family lineage that's going on in that. That's what I want to do with this. Or one of my favorite stories, how MJ went out and bought the Beatles catalog while right after he was listening to Paul McCartney brag about buying up other musicians' masters. It's brilliant. It's money behind the music, and there's so many stories to be told on there. And we're in a celebrity-obsessed culture. Everybody's heard these names, even if you're not a fan of the music, trying to teach personal finance through that. Tell a big artist story, financial lesson, and then 4 actionable takeaways that you can do every week listening to music. So it's very short term. It's very punchy. Everybody can do it. That's the plan.
We talk a lot about content marketing on this show. How has this helped you launch much more and much better, more engaging content?
And clients too. When I think about, that's number one thing, right? We're doing this to get our names out there, to teach, but also get new assets in the door. It's been able to open it up to so many more stories. Being a musician, again, I know just about every style of music. So being able to do content has really been opened up when you get out of just one genre. Typically stays the same. I have clients that are fans of country music and hip hop music, and almost every kid coming up right now that because of Spotify, they're being exposed to almost everything out there. So if I asked you, like, what's your favorite album or favorite song, a lot of people are going to be pausing. They don't know the answer. For client conversations, though, and this is where I made the connection before coming back to Future Proof and talking about it, music is the universal language, 100%. I've been in other countries where I can't speak the language, but I can sit down and play some drums. You connect immediately. People have heard all these people's names that are famous artists. So there's so many rich stories to be able to share. So that's where I'm going in and trying to do it. When my clients come in, I've had, interestingly enough, some clients that are definitely into country music and they're not hip hop fans, but it's still a conversation and an icebreaker. Like, hey, I'll take a look at your book. I never considered hip hop before as something to look at. And I'm widening their mind frame out to more different kinds of music. So if I can touch on everybody's favorites, that's what I'm trying to do.
So I think you just really hit on everybody knows who's been listening to the show that we're going to create a Drew Boyer playbook. And I think you just really hit on one, that it's really all about the stories. Stories change the content that you create. Story change your client meetings, even if they don't resonate with the foundation of the story. If they're not hip hop heads, then in their country music fans, it still begins a conversation. But you said something, and clients, right? And so you did that. And I love that, because I also want to talk about that. When you write a book, and I get asked this question all the time because I've written a couple books, 3, how do you take the book content and actually make it so that people set an appointment on Drew's calendar to potentially become a client?
I take one idea. So I'll go off of something I've been working on, my next project called Sound Returns. And one of the very first episodes is about Taylor Swift's Eras tours. And the idea is that you don't have to reinvent yourself. You just need to repackage your assets. she wasn't really going out and launching a new album. She was simply taking all of her old stuff, putting it together and letting fans go back and relive it all. So whether that's a bunch of retirement accounts laying around, maybe put those into one. Maybe you have some dormant savings that aren't doing anything. Hey, maybe you even have a skill that you know that you never thought about before. Go turn that into a side gig so you can get some new income. So I take the little bits of pieces, stories like that, and I make it relatable to my clients through the content where they can do actionable takeaways. And it's not in stuffy acronyms. The thing that I hate the worst about this industry, funny story, I asked my wife, what does an IRA stand for? She's like, internal revenue. I'm like, eh. We live in a very acronym-rich profession. So if I can break that away and put in music, I ultimately want people to be able to understand money basics, like singing the chorus of your favorite song. That's what I want.
Now, do you feel like you have started or you have already achieved really building a community of people who are following you because of how you distribute this knowledge?
I definitely do. Yeah. A lot of clients starting off with them, they're opening up most people didn't know I was a drummer like 18 months ago. And now I'm sitting in my office. I have a music room. It's a shrine that's dedicated to music. My electronic drum kit's over here, but don't tell the owner. I'm not allowed to have musical instruments here. Acoustic guitar is fine. Yes. So it started out with clients. I'm getting more of an online community, and the message is getting out there. And I'm super excited to keep widening the funnel and growing the audience.
All right, so to summarize the second piece of Drew's playbook, it's going to be taking the small pieces of content, keeping it very, very simple so that people can take action based off your content instead of forcing them to set an appointment with you to make that next step. And you and I had talked about that previously. One of the main reasons why you wanted to write the book and create all this content is really so that people had a greater understanding of simple financial principles in a palatable way where they were going to consume it. Is that fair?
Yeah, that's 100% right. I am trying to demystify financial education or people's lack of it. When I was going years ago and I was doing my certified financial planner designation, I was blown away by this lesson. It said that people don't have to take a financial literacy course until they're bankrupt. They won't let you go bankruptcy until you pass a financial literacy course. That is how perverted the system is here. You got a government that's constantly indebted, and we live in this consumer-based economy where it's Instagram this is my best life. This is go for broke, live in the now. That's what I'm fighting against. So if I can spin that celebrity culture and learn about like basic financial principles that I even had to teach myself, that's what I'm trying to share through music with this.
When you were on stage at Future Proof, and all of these advisors are coming up and talking to you because, you have begun your journey to truly being a celebrity in financial services. When you see other advisors and other experts trying to start this system that you started a couple of years ago, what are some of the biggest mistakes you see that they're making?
Not speaking to people's heads. They're talking over. I have a great client line that I like you because you speak to my eyes, to my head, not over my head. That's something I've been able to do. My practice is basically a lot made up of first responders and very blue collar. I'm a very blue collar guy. It's where I grew up at. I can take this information. I had to learn all the technical, mumbo jumbo. And then here's what it really means in real terms. And so I think that's the number one thing in our industry is people aren't making something easy to understand, or they talk about way too much. And for anybody that's on the TV, people like the hot stocks. They want the fast money. There's actual shows called that. It's not that. It's compound interest. It's the basic, boring stuff that works over time. And that's the principles where I'm trying to go at. And I think that's for a lot of people like, I need you to buy this stock. No, you need to get an emergency account set up. Live in a budget. Start investing when you can and make smart decisions. And a lot of what I do here is help people make, good decisions, basically help make them make less bad decisions. Charlie Munger.
Yeah, less bad decisions.
We help people we strive to make less bad decisions.
Yeah. Now, you said that you had just started letting your clients get to know a little bit more about your background. Why were you hesitant to share the fact that you were a musician and a drummer with clients up until recently?
Because we always had to put ties on. Now I don't.
Yeah.
It was traditionally like I'm in finance. Like and maybe I bought into that. You see all the 80s movies about everybody in the Wall Street and the money and the flashy stuff, and it needs to be proper. And I like how society's loosened up a bit, where we've brought in like a little bit more relaxed culture. You can talk about money in a different way, so it's more relatable. I just always felt that money and music didn't belong together. Mainly, if you think about it, with music, it's something that we publicly share, right? You go to a concert, except now concert tickets cost so much, so got to play the records or stream it online. It's something that's so public, and money is something so private. I I honestly, I was raised to be an entrepreneur from my parents, but I wasn't. They never really talked about money in front of us. I'm very open with my kids. So it's a very private thing that when people come into my office, they're like, "This is confidential, right?" Like, of course, I have a loud voice though, so if people hear it through the walls, they hear it through the walls. But music is public, money's pretty private, and I like the idea of bringing those two together. Bringing music into it, it's a natural icebreaker. People start lighting up about the first time they heard that song, like, oh, I didn't think about that in the background. So that's why I always thought that this should have been separate. Now I'm leaning in on it heavily. And part of Future Proof was telling everybody, lean into something that you may not think is an acceptable thing or something that you do well. Bring it into your practice so you get to stand out. Everybody can be the same person with a tie on. Hello. Yeah. Broaden out, make yourself unique. Otherwise, no one's going to differentiate you from anybody else.
Why do you think our industry specifically is so concerned and so resistant to doing that? I understand it's the Wall Street stuff, but let me ask you a question in a different way. How did you give yourself permission to lean into the Drewness, right, of who you are as a human being and really let your clients know that?
Future Proof let me be around creatives, and
Okay.
for whatever reason, in finance, I'm also helps being left-handed. I think with my right. Future Proof put me in the same area of other creatives, and in our industry, broadly, people that are good at math may not be good at being creative. It's a unique thing, I think. So I got permission to do that when I was around other people that had already been doing it. And I felt emboldened to come back and share that here in Ohio, even though I was out in California or New York. I want to go out and be that guy to be able to do it. So they really gave me the confidence to go do it, that it was working for other people. Why can't it work for me too? And I can stand out amongst everybody else.
Gotcha. All right. That's fair. This does sound like an ad for Future Proof, but when industries, I'm a big fan. I'm a big fan.
Yeah.
When industry conferences change, and this happens, it's starting to happen kind of all across the board with other industries, estate planning attorneys, CPAs, other people who sell their brains, their advice for a living, right? Which is what financial advisors do. They're starting to see that, sitting down in a boring, a classroom style thing is really not as consumable as we wanted it to be. It needs to be more interactive. In fact, I just got back from a conference called MDRT, which is $1 million roundtable. This organization's been around for insurance professionals for over almost 100 years. Actually, next year's 100 years. And here's the deal, Drew. There were when I presented twice. There were 3 people on stage, me and 2 other people, and they had headphones. And they could switch between who was speaking in order to, if somebody said something funny, they wanted to know what was going on. And it was so fundamentally different that it just kept everybody's attention so much more, because I might have been listening to this person, but I'm watching this person, and it just occupies your brain a little bit more. And I say all of that because I firmly believe that our industry is fundamentally changing. When you look at your fellow influencers, which you are now one of those people categorized as an influencer in financial services, what do you see are like really big shifts that make you either happy or scared?
So I would say switching between, first, that's like a silent disco. If anybody's ever been one, they're a blast. If you haven't, check it out. Great time to do it at a concert. The things that I think that are the information has become readily available. You can be into individual stocks and go find something for that through podcasts or videos or watching shows. I think that's a good thing as long as you're listening to people that are licensed and maybe have a track record. What I hate absolutely more than anything, God, I love my clients, but if you send me a TikTok video from someone that's probably living in their parents' basement, yelling out meatloaf from mom, like a little bit before, and they're making up something completely, I despise that more than anything. The inability to be able to vet people, like you probably know this, Matt, but I can't even call myself an expert.
Nope.
I can say I have expertise, but because I have licenses to lose, and I'm a certified financial planner, I can't say that I'm an expert in anything. I can say I'm a planner. I have TikTokers that getting on there calling themselves financial experts, and they don't have anything to lose, and they're not regulated by anybody. That is absolutely the worst trash that's out there. There's probably a few people that are giving out good advice, but the broad majority, don't get it from TikTok, please. You call your advisor, we all collectively roll our eyes. It's all good. We have to do that every once in a while. But everybody that does have a track record and works at a wealth management firm and they have a blemish-free record, perhaps follow them. Make sure they got the credentials, look into them a little bit more, vet them, ask a financial professional that you heard something, make sure it's good to go that way. But yeah, please stay away from TikTok. Please, 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 please.
Come on, Drew. Cash value life insurance is the key to all of your financial problems, dude.
Always.
I can't believe. Yes. Okay. All right. So if you, I'm going to try to distill everything that you've said down to force you to just kind of give a singular piece of advice. I'm putting you on the spot here. And if you could give any expert like you, I'm going to call you an expert, screw them. Any expert like you who sells their expertise as their advice, which is what financial advisors do and all of our listeners do, what would that one piece of critical advice be that you would hope that they would implement?
Instant answer. The last chapter of my book is called Straight Outta Compound. NWA. We'll end where we began. If you can understand compound interest, then you're unlocking the door to your financial future. Compound interest, like I think Einstein said, it's the seventh wonder of the world. He who understands it makes it. He who does it pays it. He or she. If you can understand compound interest, you also can understand that great things take time. And it starts building. There's a foundation. There's an initial deposit. There's something you add to it. There's like a garden analogy is great. Like you plant the seed, you go in, you got to weed it, you got to water it, make sure it gets sunshine. You got to take care of things over the long term and push back against this instant everything culture that we're living in. Compound interest takes time. Learn that. That's my number one message that everybody should learn.
All right. I get to ask you my favorite question that I like to ask most people on the show, which is, what should I have asked you that I didn't?
What my favorite color is.
Sorry, you just almost made me spit my coffee. All right. So what is your favorite color, Drew?
Well, it's not green. It's blue. Blue like the denim shirt.
Yeah,
and my eyes. I love blue.
That's awesome. All right. I'm going to summarize your noise cutting playbook here. So number one, it's all about stories. So when you're communicating with clients and you're writing content, make sure you tell the stories. The stories are what helped you write Hip Hop Finance, and it's what you use in your client meetings all the time. Second, taking small pieces of relatable and actionable content is wildly, wildly important. And then number three is let them know you. Drew, so that's the whole premise of this show. What did you do to rise above the noise, to separate yourself from other people in the marketplace who just sound like everybody else? And we have a very consistent message that we're hearing on this podcast is give yourself permission to be yourself. Let the Drewness come out. Lean into that essence of Drew, because people actually buy you. They're not going to buy what you know until they like, know, and trust you. All right. So we were talking before we hit record. You got a couple of things going on. So let's give the audience a preview of what's going on in Drew's world here in the next couple of years.
Yeah, so I'm not sure when this is actually going to air, but I got an announcement to make that I'm widening the funnel on pop music, from hip hop to pop, everything, all kinds of different, and it's going to be Sound Returns. It's launching on Thanksgiving weekend. I'm a girl dad twice over. I have two Swifties at home. And so we're going to do a Taylor twofer. And I'm not only talking about the Eras tour, but also going back in Taylor's versions and how she re-recorded her albums and took her power back that way. Phenomenal stories. They are 3 to 4 minutes long. I got shorts that are going to be coming out, but there's going to be an artist story, a financial lesson, and then 4 actionable takeaways that you can do while listening to their music. 15, 30 minutes a week. And that's launching, again, Thanksgiving weekend, every week, all the handles everywhere, sound returns. Check it out. Super excited about it.
Wonderful. And we're going to make sure that we have all of those in our show notes. All right, man. So Sound Returns, that's where everybody's going to follow you. Listen, make sure that you're following Drew also on LinkedIn. I'm sure you're going to be seeing him speak at conferences coming up. Are you, where are you headed yet next? You got any more gigs coming up and talking about what you do?
Thanksgiving dinner and then Christmas, and then I'll let you know. It's coming up next year. I decided to give myself permission, advice from my wife, to possibly take a break from doing things that take less than a year into letting them happen naturally. So I've got more things that are going to be coming next year, but I'm just going to sit back and work on the project right now.
Well, listen, man, for everybody listening, Drew is one to watch, right? Not only did he write an unbelievable book that if you haven't gotten it, please get Hip Hop Finance. We'll have a link in the show notes. And this is just the beginning of Drew's influence journey to truly become a celebrity within financial services. Right now, he's on our influence continuum. He's right in the authority, starting to bridge over to celebrity. And as you launch this new thing, Thanksgiving, we're going to start seeing you continue to accelerate your influence. And if you want to know a little bit more about how to accelerate your influence, please make sure that you're following ProudMouth on LinkedIn, specifically in all your social media profiles. But that is a wrap for this episode of Rise Above the Noise. If this conversation gave you something to think about, share it with somebody who'd appreciate it. If you know somebody who loves hip hop, loves music, or really wants to know how they can implement their own personal passions into their practice, this is the episode too. Make sure that you click the link for Drew's playbook in our show notes. And I want you to know that I want you to make your voice impossible to ignore. And I'm Matt Halloran, and I'll see you on the other side of the mic very soon. Hey, don't touch that dial yet. Before you go, get a copy of the tools and strategies to rise above the noise shared by our guests in this week's playbook. To claim your free playbook and access our growing collection, go to proudmouth.com/playbook. Hey, thanks for tuning in. Here's to rising above the noise, one episode at a time.